Hey everyone, welcome back to Question Everything, where we question everything. Now, today's topic was kind of unplanned initially just because I was trying to create the finale and then realized I was missing an entire topic. But without further ado, let's get on into this video. Question: how many people are in the American prison system?
Question everything, question everything, question everything, question everything. Why?
Answer: the sentencingproject.org states that there are 2 million people in the nation's prisons and jails, a 500% increase over the last 40 years. This increase is mainly due to the war on drugs and changes in law like mandatory minimum sentences. However, how many of that percentage are people of color? 1 in 3 black men is disproportionately incarcerated, and racism is an evident factor. Black men are 6 times as likely to be incarcerated as white men, and Latinos are 2.5 times as likely. For black men in their 30s, about 1 in every 12 is in prison or jail on any given day. My next question is, how can we reduce that? Can we reform prisons to address the real issues and rehabilitate these struggling mentally ill people? Yes. Coming at these issues from an empathetic standpoint, like community-based prevention and treatment for substance abuse, would humanize these unjustly punished prisoners and allow them the chance to get help and socially reintegrate. Demolishing racial inequity is a considerable problem that we must examine from every angle. We must also examine all the causes that contribute to it. For example, prisons are still for-profit organizations and exploit labor from high levels of incarcerated minority groups. Yet again, I will stress the impact capitalism has on empathy levels, because if making the most amount of capital is your priority, then why would you care about or decrease the number of incarcerated individuals? Mentally, treating prisoners as other or less deserving of rehabilitation or human rights as a whole is easier to do when you're benefiting from it. However, it doesn't diminish cognitive dissonance entirely. Furthermore, you might wonder why I grouped healthcare and prison reform, and the short answer is drugs. The slightly longer one is that drugs shouldn't be illegal for the reasons that we just went over, and healthcare is inaccessible, exasperating drug-related issues. Together, these are integral in healing systemic trauma. Drug legalization would benefit the United States in several ways: save federal, state, and local governments billions of dollars annually, lead to reduced crime and safer neighborhoods, and enhance public health. Speaking of public health, based on the CDC's key findings, the data from the National Health Interview Survey found that in 2019, 19.2% of adults had received any mental health treatment in the past 12 months, including 15.8% who had taken prescription medication for their mental health, and 9.5% who received counseling or therapy from a mental health professional. Women were more likely than men to have received any mental health treatment. Non-Hispanic white adults were more likely than non-Hispanic black and Hispanic adults to have received any mental health treatment. Overall, as the level of urbanization decreased, the percentage of adults who had taken medication for their mental health increased, and the percentage who had received counseling or therapy decreased. What does this data show overall? More people could benefit from mental health therapy, but not as many people seek it out. Drug usage is the crutch, both legal and illegal.
It's time for a mindful moment. We can take a moment to check in with ourselves.
Let's do a thought experiment that I just made up. So let's say I gave you 2 liquids and I said you had to drink one. This one has a chemical in it that can cause you to become violently ill, and this one has a whole bunch of vitamins in it. So you naturally drink this one, and then your hair starts to fall out and you get really confused because it turns out this has a toxic level of vitamin A in it. This one had a chemical in it that could make you violently ill. It's called lactose, and you're not lactose intolerant, but I didn't lie to you. It can, for some people, make them violently ill, and I did say this had a lot of vitamins in it. You still chose to drink it. That was your choice. Oh, also, there was a third option. I didn't tell you about this one because it would be really inconvenient for me if you chose this one, so I just left that one out. This is why informed consent in the healthcare setting is so important. Because as a nurse, I can tell someone as little as I want to and still act like it was informed consent and get them to choose whatever it is that I want them to choose. This is why on my page, sometimes I talk a little too much about this option because I know that a lot of providers are going to leave it out. If you want to learn more about your options, drop me a follow and let's get started.
You could work at fucking McDonald's and put a down payment on a house in your mid-20s. In today's date, that is Hey man, I think we're roughly around the same age. I'm 26, I was born in 95. You look to be a millennial. You look to be right around my age. So what I want to offer you guys, you and other people who watch that video, is that you have to understand that life isn't fair. It's a game, there's winners and there's losers.
No, it is not. Life is not a game, and I am so beyond sick and tired of every fucking time somebody comes on here saying, hey, this isn't working. We as a society need to change this and make it better. Some motherfucker has to come in here, oh, well, it's just a game. Life's a game. Just, you gotta play to win. This is not a fucking round of Mario Kart. People not being able to feed their children sustainable meals, people not being able to pay their rent on 60-hour work weeks, the top 1% hoarding all of the wealth and not leaving anything else for the common folk, that is not a game. If that is a game, all of our controllers are plugged into the fucking drawer while these same people play the fucking game on easy mode over and over again. Games are supposed to be fun. There is nothing fun about struggling. There is nothing fun about not knowing where your next rent check is gonna come from. And bitch, even if it were a game, people get mad at games. If I'm playing goddamn Mario Kart and I'm winning the whole game, doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, winning all the mini games and this and that, and I have all the stars at the end, and then some motherfucker beats me because they get all the bonus stars at the end, yeah, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. And in this video, this guy goes on to say more stuff to the degree of flipping burgers is something anybody can do. You shouldn't be surprised you're not well compensated for it, yada yada. How? I do not give a fuck if somebody is flipping burgers, if somebody is scrubbing floors for a living. I don't frankly give a fuck if somebody is sucking dick behind a honey bucket. If you are working 40 hours a week and you cannot afford to live in the city that you are working in, something is wrong with the system, not the individual, and we have every right to fucking say something.
Now, I've watched countless TED Talks on the topic of how the brain is constantly changing and ways to improve the lives of you and everyone around you through small, subtle changes. Among them was Daniel Amen, a psychiatrist and brain disorder specialist who utilized SPECT imaging for purported diagnostic purposes, and as a result found that not only can brains change, they can be rehabilitated. From analyzing over 83,000 brain scans, he realized how throwing medication at symptom clusters rather than individualized treatment can be counterproductive, and healthcare should be individually tailored for the brain that they are looking at. He also mentions the struggle of using SPECT for diagnostic purposes initially because it was met with some pushback. In order to treat problems efficiently, you need to see what you're working with. I highly recommend watching his presentation and more TikToks in general because it's incredibly easy to learn from simply watching a 15-minute video on the internet. I've probably learned more doing this than I learned in school, and I'm not even doing homework. The drug industry, legal or illegal, is for profit, which is the overarching point here. These industries, the healthcare, prison, etc., are all rooted in capitalism, which is why sustainable benefits to the system are taking so long to propagate. So what do we do next? Do we continue letting these systems stay like this after knowing that they don't benefit society? Or do we decide to step up and make those changes ourselves? If you're familiar with the bystander effect, then you understand that the best way for change to occur, or help to be given, is to start with you. In general, you have to make the changes because you can't expect other people to. You're the only person who you can control. Now, I'll end this with a suggested video for where you can start. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna make a playlist of all the TED Talk videos that I've watched, but you can literally just watch any TED Talk video because that's honestly super beneficial because it's gonna help you gain knowledge if you don't already know, or refresh knowledge that you already have. That is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like down below, comment if you have any suggestions, questions, thoughts, concerns. And yeah, if you're new to this channel, then you can subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. I'll probably leave the playlist somewhere on the screen. Again, it's been a while since I've done this, but I look forward to finishing up the finale. Have a fan-freaking-tastic day, and don't forget to question everything.